Whoa.
Boys and girls, weather report for May 30th, 2022. And there is such a thing as May 31.
Yes, there is. Don't ever forget that.
Well, a lot of people don't know that. So they don't show up for work on that day or anything. You know, a lot of people don't know that.
I'm thinking of not showing up for work on that day and going, oh, I thought it was a 2-day holiday.
Is it a holiday? It's a holiday today, right?
Yeah, Memorial Day.
Yeah.
You won't get your mail delivered.
Okay, is that what that means?
Yeah, you can't go in and like talk to anybody at the bank either. But whoever talks to anybody at the bank anymore.
Yeah. So
give me my money.
This guy, Dr. Dan, when is this? In 2 days.
On Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Evolution can't do that with Glen, whoever he is. A commenter reached out taking issue with basically every word I say, wanting to come on and make the opposite case. I've always said, if you have a problem, let me know and we can chat. So here we are. We'll see how this goes. Glen argues that evolutionary processes can't generate the complexity necessary for evolution to explain extant biodiversity. We're going to talk about that. Let's see. Anyway. Okay, so that's it. So we got a doctor.
Well, good. Nobody's ever brought that up, so I'm glad that somebody's bringing something fresh into the.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've never heard that.
It finally worked. Someone finally got back to him.
Yeah. I know. People are afraid. I mean, but I don't know if anybody's ever raised their hand and opposed evolution in one of his classes, but if you want anybody to talk to your doubts about evolution with, Dr. Dan would be the guy to talk to.
Yep.
He's very, approachable.
Well, he's a good teacher. He organizes things really well so that you really get what he's saying.
Almost what you would expect since he's a professor.
You can't always expect that out of college.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying it. Yeah. Never mind.
I've had some really bad college professors who you can't understand what were they. I mean, they don't even give a shit if you understand. I mean, they're just coming there punching a clock, and yeah, there's some bad ones. I had a pre-calc professor he had all the charisma of a fucking overripened melon. He was pretty bad.
We are graced and glad that Dr. Dan is one of the good ones in this community. Then,
you know who else is really, really good? Dr. Joel Duff, and he is he's a devout Christian, but he is really good at explaining stuff and very organized in that same manner. That organization is important. It's something it's a talent that I just do not have.
Yeah.
I dart all over the place.
Yeah.
Is this the part where you're wanting me to disagree with you or just be quiet?
Just shut your fucking mouth.
Okay.
Shut up, Scott. He's making a point.
Making a point. Yeah. I don't know. So I got rid of the kitty with the vacuum cleaner. All I had to do is pick up the cord. And he said, oh, fuck. He's going to plug it in. They think the vacuum cleaner eats kitties. And,
my Gibbs, the Chiweenie, thinks that. It acts just like a cat when it comes to vacuums. Kira thinks it's something to play with and wants to chase it and like run to it and then run back and that kind of thing.
My son's cat rides on their Roomba.
Roomba rider.
Roomba rider. Yeah.
My pets have quite varied responses to the vacuum.
And then they, like when he was just getting used to it, he would fuck with it so much and it kept stopping that finally the Roomba got confused and quit vacuuming because the cat would just keep, getting in front of it. So
I can't work with this tired cat on me.
So we had this 200-pound Saint Bernard named Sadie, and we had this couch there was a couch like out in the middle of the room, in front of the television, so that we get close to the TV. And every time I plugged the vacuum in, that dog jumped right over the couch and landed on the coffee table. I was so afraid of the goddamn vacuum. Sadie just couldn't stand. Most dogs don't give a shit about the vacuum, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Unless you vacuum them. But kitties are pretty sensitive to being eaten. Like, everybody, like I talk baby talk to my kitties. I'll sit there and talk baby talk, and I'm saying, "Oh, you're pretty fat. No, you look pretty good." And I think I'll make a sandwich out of you now. I think it's ready to harvest the kitty. And I used to do the same thing with my kids before they understood what I was saying. It'd be like, "Oh, you're so fat, and you're
oh
such
great."
I mean, cannibalism would always come up, and who the fuck knew?
This channel no longer condones eating children.
Who would have known that 35 years later, it's going to be in their therapist's notes? This baby talk. It's like, God,
Daddy used to claim he was going to eat me.
I didn't think they understood a word I said, but no shit.
Well, when they reach 6 years old, they can understand what you're saying.
Well, they were like 1 or 2. when they had
Well, and even in our language, it's cannibalistic because sometimes we'll say, "Oh, you're so cute, I could just eat you up."
Yeah.
Pinch the cheeks like you're taking a piece off the bird or whatever.
Cannibalism does always come up. But anyway, Anthony Maurice he stalks me every now and then. Every time I make a post on SFT's channel, Anthony Maurice will come on and he'll say basically the same thing every single time.
Speed of Sound made a comment on SFT's channel. Must comment back.
Like, oh no, it's down here. Okay, PDFFS. Oh, let's see. Is it PDFFS or is it that one? I don't know which one it is. It's this one. Okay, that one. Okay, so this is what he said. Atheists will never be skeptical of all the highly contrived lab environments that have no prebiotic relevance. Well, so why did I get the name Speed of Pudding, right? Tony Maurice is the reason I have the name Speed of Pudding and the reason they call me Pudding Brain and everything else. And it really is interesting. But first of all, I want to point out that a lot of creationists say things about Drosophila or fruit flies have been really highly studied since like the 1800s as for embryology. And one of the ways that they study them is they knock out genes and they find out what mutation they get, right? Like wingless is the name of a gene that if you don't have it, you won't have wings. So they always name it for the thing that it knocks out. So wingless or hedgehog, if you knock it out, it will get like all these prickly barbs all over it, right? If you don't have hedgehog, right? That's the thing. So anyway, but the creationists think that what they're trying to do is grow a new function, like make a better Drosophila, right? Make a better fly. What they don't understand is that is not what they're trying to do by mutating genes, right?
They're just trying to understand how the genes interact with one another.
Yeah, so that's like a really idiotic misunderstanding of this whole thing.
Yeah, I was wondering in what context was he saying this, because it's like saying, well, anything you do that doesn't have to do with the biogenesis is invalid, which is stupid.
The thing is, he posted this on both SFT's ERV video, which has nothing to do with abiogenesis,
right?
And he also posted it on our the discussion I had on natural selection with Jason, which had nothing to do with abiogenesis, right? We're talking about natural selection. And then, I went back and made a couple comments to him. But he another one that he posted. He edited some of these answers in atheism. Atheists will never be skeptical. Okay, this is the same thing, right? That's exactly the same. Okay, answers in atheism. You would have no way to get all your chemicals and molecules in the desired structures needed for life, and contaminants are a big problem on the early Earth. All lab
I wonder who
experiments.
he's quoting there.
All lab experiments are showing is that you need the intelligence and carefully guided strict protocols and procedures to get the chemistry to succeed. Natural environments always fail. Keep living in your fantasy world, clueless in denial and embarrassment. And then you have to get life going in the first place in your chemical soup fantasy land. Oh, that's right. You have absolutely nothing. Okay, not even the most advanced laboratories in the world with the designed equipment and pure chemicals available. So he said basically that you have to have really pure chemicals and you have to have careful guided protocols. And then in the next post, he says that even that doesn't work, that you can't make life that way, right? And this one, prebiotic processes, I got to read this one for you, have no way to get all your chemicals and molecules in the desired structures needed for life. And contaminant, oh, yeah, this is a modified version of the one I read before. But anyway, so I posted to him, why are you repeating a comment that you made, first of all? But then, okay, dude, you worry me. It's not pudding. Now, this is where pudding came from. Tony and I were trying to have a conversation, and he was raging on you remember that Snaky the Stink or Smoky the something channel that kind of went out of commission recently? The criminal that's too embarrassed to be on YouTube anymore. Anyway, he had me and Tony on the channel talking about abiogenesis. And Tony was saying that he was talking about how you have all these pure reagents and all this stuff, and you can't make life. You know, I mean, if you have a vat of pure chemicals and you've got this strict protocol, you can't make life, right? And I said to him, it's not pudding. I was trying to explain to him that prebiotic Earth was messy as hell, and that's how life happened. Okay. Now, the reason that we control our reactions when we're investigating one tiny little step in abiogenesis is because we have to look at just that one little step, right?
Yeah.
If you don't have purified chemicals, highly purified chemicals, you're not going to understand that one particular step, right? But he thinks that these scientists are trying to create life. I said, pure chemicals are not going to spring forth into living cells. Maybe you and I can spend 20 minutes, whatever, hammer it out. Think, my friend, what is the purpose of doing these lab experiments? Is it to make life, in your opinion? He hasn't responded to me yet. So anyway, no, it is not to make, they're not trying to make life in the laboratory. They're trying to investigate how life happened on the Earth. And that was a very, very messy process involving tons of contaminants. In fact, the more contaminants, the better. Okay, because if you have every kind of imaginable molecular structure, every kind of imaginable amino acid, nucleic acid, you are more likely to find the pathway through that mess that actually comes up with a self-generating cell.
Sorry, could
right?
you say that again?
Shut
Sorry,
the fuck up, Siri.
I couldn't hear what you said.
I know.
Sorry.
I keep hitting my watch. Anyway, so every time they call me pudding, what he is pointing to is his own, and I'm going to use this word generously, stupidity. The man is not smart enough to parse text because he's been criticized on this 1,000 fucking times. I mean, what do you got to do to get him to realize that they're not trying to create life in the laboratory? I mean, some labs are, right.
He is so mesmerized by his own rhetoric that it's not going to work. He's also probably an enthusiastic fan of James Tour and crap like that. So
yeah, he is. Definitely.
So there's really until he has a moment where his eyes are opened and he awakens to the reality of the sentences in front of him. He's just not gonna be
Anyway,
changeable, movable.
It's so frustrating to talk to this guy. I don't know why I do it. I'm not sure. But anyway, that's the whole pudding story, and I think it's really ironic that every time they call me that, they're actually pointing to Tony's stupidity, which is pretty interesting. It's an interesting way to look at it. Anyway, what else is going on? Oh yeah, I was going back and forth with SFT on ERDs a little bit.
What do you say? I haven't been following the conversation.
Who the hell is that here? Comment on folders. Okay, Epic 2-day sale. Let me see if I can find the.
I guess if we don't have anything else, we can just talk about the nonsense they put in that video specifically. But we can get to that later.
Oh, yeah, I can drag it up here. Where the hell is it?
Let's see. This is totally unrelated to biology or whatever, but I watched The Last Temptation of Christ for the first time ever since it came out in 1988, and I remember it was just so controversial when it came out that like we had a preacher, the pastor of our church, just challenge us to go see it, and I forget what he said he'd do if people went to see it. It was just, we were practically ordered not to go see it. And of course the one big drawback, and also is kind of its one big thing in its favor, is that it had Willem Dafoe playing Jesus.
Oh really? I forgot that.
Yeah, and Harvey Keitel was Judas Iscariot, and he's given a more prominent role in all the Jesus stuff, all the ministry stuff, than Peter. And although Peter plays some not insignificant role, so it was interesting to watch. And they put in I guess because of the controversy, they put in a kind of a disclaimer that it was not based on any gospels in the Bible, but it was based on a particular author's, particular writer's message of what he was trying to say, what the author of this particular book, I forget that it's a Greek sounding name, who wrote the book, The Last Temptation of Christ. And basically it was about Jesus. There was a view about Jesus that that basically he was just a guy, even though he was the Son of God, he was kind of adopted. He was chosen to be the Son of God. But he was just a regular human who felt the call of God and did this preaching, teaching, miracle ministry, and then on the cross was kind of given this long extended dream sequence about how it would be great to like love Mary Magdalene, and actually Mary Magdalene dies giving birth to one of his children, and then he goes on to marry Lazarus's brother Mary, and lives out his life, and then at the end he's met with this crisis, and on the cross, back to the cross, he finally chooses to die on the cross and be the Christ, and that's all it's about. It's controversial in that, like, if you were a Catholic who was Orthodox, or even a Baptist or whatever, you would say, no, that's not what the Bible says about Jesus. But anyway, it's not that big a deal. Although there are boobs in it, so you have to you have to take that into it. There are boobs in that movie, but I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying there are.
Okay, was there a long torture scene in it, like with Jesus being tortured for?
Not like the Passion of the Christ. To compare it to Mel Brooks, the torture scenes were quite a bit milder.
Okay.
Shorter.
Okay, so which movie? No, which movie were you talking about?
The Last Temptation of Christ.
And who did that? That was a Mel Brooks?
Martin's no.
Who did that?
Martin Scorsese.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of the Mel Gibson one because I had to shut that off. I had to turn that off.
Did Mel Gibson ever do a Bible comedy at all?
Oh,
why not? Why did he never do that?
I don't know. He probably should have.
He's Jewish. He could pull the whole Holocaust thing on everybody and say, "Well, we just did it." So I don't know why he never did that.
I don't know either.
Now I feel like no matter what happens, life will always be just a little more shallow and hollow than it could be. But anyway, I suggest people watch The Last Temptation of Christ, and also watch one of the Jesus, movies. There's like a million of them.
Like Ben-Hur. No.
Ben-Hur's a pretty cool, Jesus makes a cameo kind of movie. And you don't really see his face, do you? I can't remember.
I remember these Jesus movies from when I was very young, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was with who the fuck was it? Michael Douglas? Not Michael Douglas, but the other one. The daddy.
Kirk Douglas?
Yeah, Kirk Douglas. Wasn't he in one of the Jesus movies?
Was it like The Greatest Story Ever Told?
Probably.
There was one where just about all of Hollywood, like John Wayne played the one of the centurions, the Roman people that crucified him.
Yeah. Anyway, there were some really bad movies back then about, epic battles and chariots and all kinds of shit. And, yeah, it was fun. Yeah, the parting of the Red Sea done really badly before they had CGI. And,
yeah.
It was pretty bad.
There was a couple of 1970s Jesus movies too. One was Jesus of Nazareth, and I can't remember the names of the others. But
so Donnie and I here, I said, Donnie, how many transposons have been found to have a function based on their sequence? And he said, widespread functionality. The functionality is pervasive. I don't know if anybody has an exact number, but it's a lot. Far too much for evolution is to be comfortable with. And I said, really? And he said,
that is a good response, because
he said, how many papers are cited in chapter 4 on ERV and other classes of these types of elements function? By the way, how you been? Anyway, so, and then Tony Maurice came in with his comment.
All these experiments.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they come in with comments that are not related to anything you're talking about,
yeah,
it's spammerism.
And I said, all is well in spite of being 26,077 days old. Yes, SFT, lots of papers cited, but we have about 1.3 million sequences to find function for. For sequence-specific function, I'm only able to find a small handful, probably about 2. About six functional sequences, all very old sequences that have undergone a lot of random, in quotes, mutation. So 6 over 1.3 million to you is writing on the wall, indicates a direction. Now you can obfuscate by pointing to overall function of just being a certain length, or the fact that many sequences are going to promote, let's see, read more. Okay, so the overall function basically of it just being a certain length, like you have to have a certain length to the string, and that's how the DNA is going to fold up into euchromatin and heterochromatin. Or the fact that sequences are going to promote genes, which is prolific, right? The fact that they promote genes is not surprising. Or point to competition with actual viruses, but you are waving your hands, not digging into the details. Makes a good sermon, but you certainly are not proving anything here. Ironically, you point out many things that are part and parcel to evolution by chance variation. How fun is that? You strengthen every evolution with every claim of found functionality. And by the way, did you ban irrational empiricists? He can't post. So that was it. That's what I did. Anyway.
Nice.
Yeah. So there's that.
Should we let Nessa again? I feel like he'd have something to say on the ERVs. more than I probably could.
Yep.
Or in addition to what I could say, because I know a little bit, but probably not as much as he does.
Let's see. We got rid of YouTube.
Yeah, those target site duplications. I don't know if they've ever addressed that, or the LTR sequences, or because I know some LTR sequences have like function as for transcription as promoters, right? But like, why would designer need to put in all these different elements in the exact same place across different species, and then just make so many of them? Like it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, the way they figure that out is they take a look at, okay, they'll find a matching ERV, and then they'll look at the sequences around it.
Yeah.
And because they're not in the same place, often they're in different chromosomes, but they can pretty much tell that because of the genes that are around the insertion, they can tell that the insertion was the same insertion. Basically, it wouldn't have randomly ended up there. But they're all in different spots. And I was looking into some of the software they used to do that, which is kind of cool. So, but hang on a second here. Oh, the target site duplication sequences. So Nestle
kind of like the thing with what would be a good analogy to, or just like a regular kind of infection. Like if you see, I don't know, maybe you can find a use for a pimple or an infected inflammatory area of your skin or something like that. I don't know, but if you have that kind of scarred tissue around it, that's pretty good evidence that you were infected by something.
Damn, I don't know where I pulled down a whole huge data file full of ERVs, and I don't know where I put it. Shit. But I had a lot of them, and it's really interesting.
My downloads.
You failed me, Speed.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, for the ones that are still active, or that were active recently, or whatever, or were active ever at all in the lifetime of the transposon, they do jump into targeted regions, and sometimes those targeted regions are like real loose sequences, which they're going to find all over the place, but they never jump into the same spot.
Right. Exactly.
They frequently jump into themselves, and they will jump into a lot of introns, and they jump into a lot of junk space all over the place.
It's like they generally jump into or they can jump into the same type of region, but they, like you said, they're not going to insert themselves into the exact same spot in the genome.
And almost every species of transposon has its own preference for where it's going to jump, but it's never a particular location. It's not the exact same location all the time. Because if they did that, they would probably screw more stuff up, basically. But you can graph it, and you can see basically that they have areas that they will jump into. That's why Cell Cordova's great thing about rats and mice, that the genes jumped after rats and mice split, but they were in roughly the same spots. I think the signs were. And the reason for that was they weren't in exactly the same spot. They were in somewhat the same spot because that particular part of the DNA had a tendency to attract signs. And I think it was CG-rich DNA. So everyone has its own kind of thing going on. So,
and when we say in the same spot here, like what general nucleotide kind of length are we talking here?
100,000 bases.
Oh, okay.
Within 100,000.
So that's kind of still a bit of a range there.
Well, it's quite a range, yeah. Yeah, and the fact that they think that God designed these, so that they could have some functionality by jumping. Like Maddox has said that out loud a couple times, and I think SFT has too, that they're functional that the function that they have is that they will jump into a spot and do something. And it's like, no.
No.
You're not likely to gain function by a random jumping 7,000 nucleotide sequence, jumping randomly.
Well, even then, when they do have function, it's not because of the fact that they're mobilizing themselves. It's because of the fact that they're being transcribed or promoted like any other type of gene. Or
yeah, the ones that have function because they jumped millions and millions of years ago, and they mutated enough that they ended up having some beneficial function in later generations.
Yeah.
Like for the placenta, for instance. And that happened, how many million years ago? Placental mammals, 30? Or is it more?
Oh, it's way older than that. Well, like I think the split is like 160, 150 million years ago, roughly.
Yeah.
That's when the oldest fossils I know are found of placental mammals.
Right. But like when I downloaded the file with actual ERVs and it showed their actual sequences, and I started doing a lot of comparisons, there were some of them were just fragments. They were just like little pieces, maybe about 150 nucleotides, and they would have sequence homology with a 3,000 nucleotide ERV somewhere else, right?
Right. And there are some that are just like the leftover LTRs, basically.
Yeah, that too. Oh, let's see here.
Because ERVs, the whole thing can get deleted in basically one big mutation, except the one LTR from it.
Yeah. I got to refresh. It sees how Nestle is not coming in.
Did we post a link?
Of course, we would always enjoy Nestle hopping in and giving us his point of view.
Yeah, this hereditary memory on mice is, I think I looked into that at one time, and it's not, I'm very skeptical about it.
Well, I thought that there was like experiments done and they like implanted brain cells from the, one mouse into another, and the one receiving the brain cells was able to remember where the path out was or something like that.
Oh yeah. So yeah, and the reason I'm skeptical about it, I mean, this is totally not related to biology, but this is really interesting to me. So I have a very close relative who called me, and we were having a conversation, and she told me that her daughter, who has kids in the Evelyn High School, is basically thinking about taking her kids out of the high school because they were allowing kids to be furries and pretend that they were animals in the high school, and that they were even using litter boxes in the restroom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so in elementary school, they were allowing kids to dress up as various animals.
Oh, okay. This was elementary school.
Pretend they were dogs, crawl around, and use a litter box in the restroom, right? So about half an hour before the show, I was watching a John Oliver clip, and there was some senator or something up in front of Congress or the Senate. I'm not sure exactly where it was. And he said he told exactly the same story about high schools doing this, right? So he told it like, okay, this was like in Louisiana or something, and he told the same story that I got about a high school 6 miles from where I grew up. And I'm thinking, I call bullshit on this, okay, because I think somebody posted it on the internet and it became a meme, and then everybody started passing the information on, and pretty soon tons of people are claiming that their local high school or elementary school is doing this, right? So I mean, it was like a game of telephone, right? They get a meme, and all of a sudden they're accusing their own local school of doing some crazy fucking thing, like litter boxes in the restroom. But the thing that struck me is on John Oliver, this guy from many states over is talking about this same phenomena in his state, the same exact story that I heard. And I'm like, wait a minute, I kind of want to check your facts on this because I got a feeling, and then she insists that her daughter who goes to that school confirmed it, right? Or her granddaughter. And it's like, okay, So if they confirmed it, then I want to talk to the teacher, because I got a feeling the teacher would be very surprised to hear the rumors going around about that teacher, right? Because I don't think any of this stuff exists. I think they may have made it up. They caught it. They caught an internet meme, and just like you could catch a flu or a really bad cold, you know, and they start believing in this stuff. But anyway, so I'm really skeptical anytime I read about brain studies, because they sort of fall the same way. The scientist will make some claims. He's all excited. He's got a new paper. Gets interviewed by a reporter. The reporter edits the hell out of it. He puts in a clickbaity title, and all of a sudden, quantum consciousness. You know, so I'm just not buying any of it until I look at it.
It's a case of horizontal meme transfer.
Right. And I did download that paper on mice, and I can't remember what my opinion was, but it was.
I hope
would have
our
remembered.
educated audience got the pun there. Sorry, go ahead.
I didn't get the pun, Andrew.
You didn't? Oh, darn! I failed.
No, you didn't fail.
I got the pun.
I
just
got the
eating
pun.
a hot dog.
See, my ex-wife.
Instead of horizontal gene transfer, it's horizontal meme transfer. Never mind. It's not funny anymore.
I doubt my ex-wife is listening, but when she accused me of not listening 3/4 of the time, she was right.
Wow.
Yeah. ADHD brain skill. You have to say mouse move before you say something that I'm going to remember, because I have the screensaver on, and my brain is doing something totally different. And if you say mouse move, then the screen will come on and I'll be ready for input. So just so you guys know. Sorry. Anyway. Did you watch our Jason thing, the natural selection thing?
I was going to, but I haven't gotten to it yet.
Oh, please do.
Sorry. Yeah.
We're getting some views on it. Well, not a lot of views, but I mean, it started out with like 40 views and now it's up to 100. So I kind of like the talk that we had. So
yeah.
Mice have hereditary memory. So did you find a paper for that? Chris Peacock? I don't know if you linked the paper or not.
Jay. Hey, Jay.
Oh, John Oliver. John Oliver didn't have a show this week, but he did a 17-minute YouTube video. And that's where he was talking about the furries. And he had that guy. And they were also talking about this amazing stone monument in Georgia. And it looks like it's about 70 feet tall. And there's this Republican wannabe senator that wants to tear it down because she thinks it's satanic. And I guess it's actually set up so that it works. It gives you some information about the stars. And however, there's an inscription on it. And when John Oliver researched it, the guy that apparently created that monument, I don't know if he paid for it or what, but he was like into eugenics and population control, basically killing off most of the human race. So we got down to 500 million people. And he had all these inscriptions printed on this stone, right? And it's been an attraction in Georgia, a roadside attraction since 1980. But apparently nobody ever deciphered what he was saying. And it looks like another one of those monuments that may get torn down.
So what's it a statue of?
It's not a statue. It's called, what is that? Okay. John Oliver when he looked into it, he thought he'd find out that it was really innocent, had nothing to do with Satanism. But the more he looked into it, the worse the guy that created the monument sounded, right? So it was kind of a Confederate flag sort of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, stone monument
Well, we don't like eugenics around here, that's for sure.
Stone monument
that's
in
Georgia.
No. Well, we do when it comes to cows.
Well, for yeah.
Well, Eric 3111 is asking, is it the Georgia Guide Stone? So you might want to look for that.
Yeah, the Georgia Guidestones. Okay, Wikipedia, Georgia Guidestones. Okay, let's take a look at this.
Thanks, Eric. You get 1,000 speed bumps.
Yep. And maybe I can find the...
And he's got the cutest little icon there, little avatar.
Nope.
How about
Little
no?
birdie.
So cute.
Nope.
This little birdie.
Nope. Yep. There it is.
I
Okay.
have a feeling that's not what the intended response was for that image, though.
Okay,
Oh.
so he has stuff written in some other languages, right? Like many languages.
Oh, wow.
And when you decode it, apparently there's some weird shit on there. And it was kind of like cloaked pretty well, but population controlled, eugenics, internationalism, and there's all kinds of conspiracy theories about this monument. So, but anyway, it is pretty impressive. I mean, really, I guess probably about 40 feet tall or something like that. But wow.
Oh, wow.
What a story. Anyway, maybe I can find the video. Let me see what I can do for you. The John Oliver, I want to post that because it was pretty funny. The whole
Did
thing.
you post the link, Scott, yet? Or
Not the public chat yet, but we could.
Link to what? Oh, our link. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, in the public chat, if you guys want.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Where's John? Here it is. John Oliver. I can't play it because I'm sure I'll get a copyright strike on this.
Probably will.
I'll have to look that up and watch it.
I'll put it in the description. It's down toward the end. John Oliver is always just hilarious.
Oh, so it's going to be in the description. Thank you, Speed.
It is. And I'm going to post it in the public chat as well. How about that shit? Oh, let's see. Okay. Got it.
Yeah, speaking of Kent Hovind, Eric, it cracks me up like how, some people bring up like Joseph Stalin and say, "Oh, look at what Darwinism did to Russia and whatnot.
Yeah.
It killed so many people." Well, if you do a little more research into it, turns out that Stalin actually contributed to the decline of Darwinian evolution in the Soviet Union and kind of the general scientific not establishment, just kind of learning basis, basically. He was actually promoting Lysenkoism, which was a kind of neo-Lamarckian take on evolution and breeding of plants and whatnot. And so it's just funny to me when people bring up like the same thing with Hitler, which I don't know, was Hitler a creationist? I feel like he was a creationist, not an evolutionist.
He was, I think he was kind of like into the supernatural, and I think he was a Catholic or something. I don't know. He was some kind of Christian, but
yeah, because I know he had some eugenics inclinations, but I don't think he was a strict Darwinian in that sense. Yeah, it's just when they bring up these dictators and basically and they believe in the opposite thing they propose they believed in.
Yeah. Eugenics for humans was a pretty bad idea. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, for so many fucking reasons. So many reasons. Who's going to decide?
You could also say it was sort of based on pre-evolutionary ideas too, like the whole some races higher up the hierarchy than others, basically, and that sort of thing, which obviously is nonsense.
Okay, if you would take a wolf and give the wolf, put him in charge of genetically modifying himself to become something, right? What would the wolf become? I mean, if the wolf were in charge and he was the one that was going to pick the traits that he was going to select for on his own species, what kind of you've heard of a dire wolf? I'm pretty sure that's what they would go for.
Probably.
Yeah. They wouldn't go for the soft little round-eared, gentle, Saint Bernard or that kind of a puppy. It'd be like some fucking just carnivorous monster, that was about 14 fucking feet tall. That's what they would go for.
It would become a more cuddly version of the T-Rex because the big jaw and the teeth.
The point is, you don't put a species in charge of breeding itself.
Right.
Never turns out well.
It's almost, somewhat worse is putting a single species in charge of the entire planet's ecosystem.
Yeah,
which unfortunately is happening here.
That's not a disaster.
Or the entire planet's carbon store.
Yeah. Only sort of kind of event that happened sort of kind of like that is the great oxygenation event with cyanobacteria, but they weren't trying to do anything and they didn't have a decision over it. But we do, of course, and we're not doing anything.
And I think that happened really slow. I don't think that happened.
Yeah, and the time scales are very different. Yeah. Thanks, Eric. I didn't know that. I don't look up Hitler for a reason. Yeah,
it was an occultist or whatever. He did studies on that shit. And I think he was trying to use it as a weapon and stuff like that. What if he fuck up with the atom bomb? Holy shit. He thought it was a waste of time. What a mistake. Good thing he made that mistake, but anyway.
Atom bomb rooted in the equation E equals MC squared. Just remember that. Science can be used for the wrong reasons or the wrong purposes when we put it in the wrong hands. That should be a lesson anyone should take.
Never put politicians in charge of weaponry.
No. Definitely.
Oh, no.
Wait. Anyway. Shit. So what else we got? So I haven't watched that whole ERV thing, have you? On Standing for Truth?
Oh, the most recent one he did?
Yeah, the raw map thing, the takedown or whatever.
I kind of skimmed through it. His point was basically, Dr. Dan said that these viral functions were expected, but look at all these quotes that say they were completely unexpected.
What? Are we abstract mining again?
Well, I mean, either way, does it really matter? I mean, like the point is, who cares where they were expected or not? Like, right. I mean, scientific ideas can change, obviously, and they do change.
This whole attitude that, I read a lot of papers on embryology and genetics from the 80s and the 70s and the 90s, and that's where a lot of the research was done. There wasn't anybody there that was saying, we're just going to ignore most of the genome. No one was, right? They were looking at everything.
Yeah.
And this narrative that modern scientists are just shocked at the complexity, right? I can give you a little example of that. Where the fuck is it? I think it's this one.
Yeah, scientists get shocked about a lot of things, but just because they get shocked about something doesn't mean that it's really surprising when you take a modern day look at it.
I think it might be.
A lot,
I think about like scientists saying, we didn't think of this. Oh, that makes sense now. Like, how many times has that happened in the history of science?
Well, they'll say, like when you do an experiment and you learn something new, you always say, God, we were surprised, or we were very surprised that it turned out this way, right? And the reason they say that in their paper is because they're trying to be a little bit human, and they were actually surprised. So it's like, wow, I found something new out. So every time you learn something, you get surprised. And it's not like they were ignoring it, but the narrative is that they were on purpose ignoring all of the junk DNA, right? They were not looking at any other parts. They were not looking for complexity. They just stumbled on it. And all of a sudden, God said, hey, scientists, look at the complexity. And it's like, no, that's what fucking scientists do, is look at the complexity and unwind it. And, wow. just amazing.
That reminds me of the creation myth video called
mute for a minute.
Quote Mine the Abstract. And, because abstracts tend to follow a format, and one of them is, here's the problem, comma, but this is what we've done to resolve it or to figure it out. And so what a lot of creationists will do is just do the front part of that here, here's the problem, comma, but here's the solution. They'll just do the problem part. And that's what they stick with without sharing with the sometimes gullible audience that, well, the paper that's being quoted actually resolves the issue.
Well, in the recent SFT video on ERVs, he actually claims that he didn't, in fact, quote or misquote the abstract of a particular paper that Dr. Dan showed, which I don't know. I haven't really looked into the weeds as much to say for sure, but just a bit suspicious.
Well, what's guaranteed is that the people in his audience won't.
Yeah, they'll buy it. Yeah, they'll swallow it whole first.
I think this is pertinent to what we were talking about, but I'm not sure. This is that Taylor, that cell biologist.
Okay.
So it just seems as if the more we learn, the more that these problems are defying the laws of science. Like they're defying their own laws to try to answer these big questions about how the universe and how life arose, and et cetera, et cetera. And I think that the direction is going to go in that, keep going in that same direction, where as we learn, we actually learn how complex things are and how unlikely they formed by themselves. So in that notion, I would say I haven't come, I guess for some of the impossibilities would say that I feel that God definitely intervenes.
That's it. Yep. So, I mean, God, I don't know about that.
So you're asserting miracles then, I see.
I don't know about that kid. I don't know what to make of her. Exactly. Well, it's got a bachelor's in biology and not much more than that. I guess supposedly, don't you have to get a master's before you get a PhD? I don't know how that shit works.
Most of the time, yeah.
So maybe you don't. Well, my logic professor told me that you can actually get into a graduate program and without a high school diploma if you impress the right people. I don't know if that's true. At the University of Minnesota, so I don't know. I would be interested. But then there's we should look at the SFT. Okay, we should make a point today and tomorrow to look at the SFT video and come up with some timestamps, Andrew.
Okay.
And get into the ERV stuff, and because I got his book here, it's wonderful. Oh, not that one.
Do you have some things you'd like to say about his book straight out, right?
It was really, really hard to read, or could you call it reading?
Yeah,
because
it's funny because Dr. Dan said the exact same thing.
Dr. Dan put his finger on it. The problem I was having is I was spotting my way through it, and he would be like all over the fucking place. So I couldn't find, he said chapter 4 is where we're going to prove ERVs were made by God and get rid of evolution forever. And I looked at chapter 4 and it's like, okay, I'm waiting. I'm reading a lot of quotes here, SFT, and I'm reading little preachy comments that you make in the middle, but I'm not seeing any content.
Yeah, I wonder. Maybe we all need to do a GoFundMe and get SFT a Chicago Manual of Style, or I think one institution I was at, we had to use Turabian, which was another book of style and everything like that.
Yeah, I got about a dozen of them in my library there.
I don't know what they do for. I know we use them for term papers, but I don't know if those things are good for books too. or if there's something different, that they use for book volumes.
Well, either way, he needs a professional editor. That's for sure.
Yeah. So I was this Maddox was talking about information again. And, Joel was talking about me, so I think I'm going to reach out to Joel. He wanted to have a conversation about really deep, what did he call it? Programming, right? He wanted to talk about something other than front end things like Ruby on Rails, which is a back end server. He was complaining about me, that he was disappointed when he talked to me that I didn't dig deeply enough in. So I'm going to reach out to him and try to have a conversation about code, information, and biology and computers. So,
oh look, I predicted it. He's here.
Oh no, he's here. Is he here? It can't be him. That one? You get it right? That guy?
Yeah.
That's the guy being referred to.
It's Otangelo.
The guy.
Oh, Randolph, your stream was great. I loved how they kicked Otangelo's ass just all over the place on the Shroud of Turin. I thought that was the greatest part of it. The guys that Randolph has on his fortnightly, or whatever the fuck that means, stream are just wonderful. I mean, they're really very, very polite, very rational. Really.
Hey, Randolph, can you join us?
Yeah.
Dave's in the side chat too. Hey, Dave.
Hey, Dave.
No one's joining. I am sad.
No one's joining. No one loves us. Anyway, I was going to put... See if you can decipher this Maddox speak.
Okay.
Oh. I'm sorry. I was...
Well, I think that it also be fair to Taylor, I think, as a researcher herself, it's she doesn't necessarily want to say like, oh, we'll never figure it out, or there couldn't be some scientific explanation that almost keeps in my notes. I get that. For me, in relation to your point about the reception of consciousness, I've actually argued that many times that in the era in which we live with the concept of virtual reality, the fact that so many people, the materialists strict materialists want to cling to consciousness being created 100% in the brain, and the concept of our body actually being the receptor for, basically operating as our avatar that we get to control. Why that is such a rejected premise fascinates me, to be honest, in relation to, are you guys
fascinating him seems to be pretty yeah, I don't know.
It's so fascinating.
Okay, so he started out talking about virtual reality and how, with what we know about virtual reality, how could we not accept that that basically the brain is not physical? I think is what he was saying. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Well,
anyway.
A, because there are a lot of things we don't know about consciousness in the brain, and B, because just because something else exists that we've happened to invent that looks like another thing doesn't mean that that other thing is the same thing as you get my point.
Yeah. So, Randolph, did Otangelo ever come back in for the Shroud of Turin talk?
I think he tried, but we had already moved on to other topics, so we didn't get to finish that. There's quite a few people complaining about him. We get a lot of complaints from people, so it's a tough one. We find that he just keeps using the same arguments again and again, so it doesn't really seem to where he is very dedicated to his positions, that's for sure. But hey, I really appreciate the comments you made about the live stream. The
live stream is great.
It's great viewing, and it goes on long enough to where, like, even if you're busy, you can always tune in to one section of it.
Oh yeah, we've been trying to keep it to 4 hours and managing to keep it to 4 to 5 hours now, which is going well. A couple of times.
Speaking of the Shroud of Turin, apparently there's only ever been one shroud ever found in first century Palestine,
Okay.
and it was head wrap and then body wrap. It was not this, wrap over you like a taco, paper or whatever kind of shroud. It was it was actually described in the Gospel of John as a head wrap and a body wrap too, but it's wrapped in linen that had spices, inserted in between the wraps. But they found one. It was a body that was had died or was infected with. What's the H word? It was leprosy. It's what we call leprosy, but it actually, the disease is somebody's disease, and it's an H. Where did Jay go?
He left.
We lost Jay.
I've been calling it the ShamWow of Turin.
Yeah, the ShamWow of Turin. And so it's they're even wrong about the kind of shroud it is. So
I remember seeing some video they were talking about how it was. It doesn't go back as far as 2,000 years. It's much younger than that. And ShamWow Turin there, he's right in the video. So about the part where I mentioned that yesterday, but it seems that they were saying yesterday it was tested once and it hasn't been tested again with newer, better testing methodology. So the ones that were used actually are quite good already, apparently, but they're and quite accurate and consistent. So there's people coming up with all kinds of arguments about different sections of the cloth will have different ages and stuff like that, which totally doesn't make any sense.
So who else?
And the name of leprosy is Hansen's disease, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Who is J.L. Warren? Okay.
J.L. Warren is somebody I've come across. Now you got to remember, I'm not the organizer of this this program. It's Taco is the organizer, so he brought us all together. J.L. Warren is an atheist podcaster who runs a YouTube channel called Bridge the Divide, and he covers a lot of these kinds of topics, debunking myths and stuff like that. He's quite thorough and seems to be quite knowledgeable in the science area as well. He's right up to date.
Really good.
So, yeah, he'd probably be a good one. If you like Speed, I can mention. I could try to get you guys connected. So if you want to have him on your channel sometime.
Yeah, so I'm trying to find him. JL here. Okay.
His channel is Bridge the Divide. So youtube.com/Bridge the Divide.
Okay, I'm gonna link. I linked your video at the very top of my description because
thank you.
Really think
I've made some improvements to how YouTube presents the video. There's a little letter I in a circle in the top right corner, and if you click on that, you'll see the next and previous videos and in the series. And at the very end, for the last 20 seconds, it also has a link to the playlists shown. So I have a playlist for all those for that whole series.
Okay, and I linked J.L. Warren's channel right below that, and I will subscribe to that right away.
Hey, tell him I sent you.
Oh, I will.
He'll appreciate that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, please do. Anybody who lives there, tell him I sent you.
Yep.
Before we go further, I see that
20 or
Snake
30
was.
people saying I sent him. I think he'll be delighted.
You see a snake?
I see Snake was right is in the side chat, and I know he had a debate once with SFT on ERVs. I'm just curious if he'd like to join and give his thoughts on the subject.
Yeah.
Come on in. Snake is right. Snake was right. Come on in. It's always a pleasure.
He was right. He is now wrong.
He's not wrong. Yeah.
Oh.
Now he's writer.
He's writer.
I'm sure he'll appreciate that.
So I subscribed to that.
Well, looky there.
Ian Chen.
Well, that, and we have Minnie Karen in the side chat.
And many. Oh, wow. All the old viewers are coming in. What the hell's going on? Oh, it's Memorial Day. No, not over there, is it?
Maybe Israel has found a reason to take the day off.
Oh, well.
Well, they have a holiday for everything. Israel, don't they?
That's another thing, too. In the Department of, European and well, I don't know. Israel's not really European, but it kind of is in a way. I don't know. I don't want to insult anybody, but is the number of days you can take off
I
during
know.
the year. There's holidays, but there's also like mandatory, some, you can take 30 days off, others, 15, 20, but it's just amazing the mandated days off that you get to take for, the health of the individual.
Well, the next date, the next fortnight is June the 12th. That's every 2 weeks. So it's that's the next date of our live stream, and that happens to be International Falafel Day or Falafel Day, depending how you want to pronounce it. And that's apparently a traditional meal in Israel.
Wow.
So is it just to be clear? Is it 40 nights from now or 4?
Fortnight is 2 weeks.
Fortnight.
Yeah, I know.
I love playing fort with my kid when he was young, and my grandkids.
Yeah.
Fortnights are great.
That's the best meaning of fortnight right there, I think.
Yeah, saving up boxes to play with the kids.
I remember making forts out of couch cushions and pillows and whatnot.
Yeah.
When I was young. That was fun. And then, of course, you have to tear it all down and put it back.
Message. Okay. What the hell was I going to say? Oh, there was something else before I said that. There was something more substantial. I don't know. What the hell were we talking about? Who am I again? Who are you people?
Were we going to talk about Maddox more?
Apparently, your last name is Pudding.
Yeah, pudding.
You're Speedo Pudding. You're an Irish. You're Irish.
Speedo pudding. Oh, I got it. Yeah.
You guys remember what it was
like? Are proof of intelligent design.
You guys remember what it was like to be like this kid, imagining the floor was all lava?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh shit, that was fun.
Yeah. This kid's a hero. I love special effects. They're great.
In case anyone didn't know, there are different kinds of lava/magma.
Yeah.
Yes, there are.
Depends on the.
I never thought about
was
that.
made of, or
yeah, the composition. How if it's felsic or mafic. Don't ask me to define those terms. I can't define them offhand.
There's a recent GeoHubs episode, which is very short. That's a great source of information about volcanoes and earthquakes and stuff. But there was a volcano that threw out mostly obsidian.
Ooh.
Which was weird sounding. I haven't watched it yet, but yeah, volcanoes will surprise you. And of course, those steam volcanoes are pretty wild too, where there's more water in it than anything, and it builds up, and the steam explosion is the destructive force.
Who did a video recently on the ridiculous idea of the flood having something to do with the Yellowstone Park and the hot spot as it moved across?
I don't know.
Was it Steve Ballman? But he's talking about, how there's all of we have the current, gigantic super volcano where Yellowstone is, but the hot spot is, moved. And as it moved across Washington and Oregon, there were all of these older sites where it had erupted. And those older sites are really, really a lot older. And now we have this new site. And anyway, he was asking for an explanation of that. Yeah, I mean, if it all happened 6,000 years ago.
Well, we just got to remember that in the young Earth creation model, quote unquote, plate tectonics isn't really a thing.
Well, yeah, the plate moved across really fast, and the super volcano kept erupting over and over and over again, making all these holes. And then they got really, really old and degraded really fast. Yeah. So according to their plan, Yellowstone should look like those other holes in about 1,000 years. So it should degrade.
Well, hey, Minnie Karen.
Same matter. Minnie Karen.
How are you, sir?
Probably got shitty audio, but we'll see.
Well, hey, guys.
There he is.
Hey, you got good audio. Well, kind of.
Am I the only one hearing weird noises?
Weird noises.
I mean,
What
if
kind
you're
of
talking about
weird
the sound of
noises?
my voice, it's just southern Arkansas. But
Okay, maybe I got to. Are you hearing echoes? Many? It's probably
there's a delay.
yeah. Probably because I got to leave the studio and come back in. You aren't hearing echoes, are you, Andrew?
No, right now I'm hearing fine. There was some noise before. Hey
Oh.
guys.
Great to see
Hello.
you. What's been going on?
Life,
Life.
That's a good.
and everything.
How is life?
It's worth living.
Yeah.
Ha.
Yeah, definitely. It's enlivening.
You are breaking up a little bit.
Next week I'm going to Paris for the first time. So
Paris.
Ooh.
Wow.
yeah, actually it's not even next week. It's like in 4 days.
Cool.
Yeah.
How far is that from you?
It's a 4-hour flight, I think.
It's about thousands of miles. I have a really distorted idea.
I don't know. I'm not into weird units. I'm into real ones like kilometers.
Yeah, geography is not my thing.
Here, since you're bringing up,
It's not that far from here, actually.
since you brought up geography, here's a nice little fun fact. Did you know that the route that airplanes take to go from, say, Greenland to Paris or somewhere else in Europe, they look curved to us, but in fact, because we're on a globe, basically a spherical surface, those are actually the straightest possible routes you can take. So they look curved to us, but they're actually straight or
It's very interesting.
straight-ish. Geometry.
Yes.
Oh no, now I'm hearing.
You're hearing what?
I'm hearing an echo.
I'm leaving.
I'm hearing an echo now.
I'll come back. Bye. I hate
Speed has to
Bye.
go out and come back in.
Okay, now I don't hear it. I don't know why it does that. It's so weird.
So, Minnie Karen, do you have specific things you're going to do in Paris, or are you just going to roll around and try to cause an international incident?
Well,
StreamYard
I have orders for what do you call those? Michelin stars restaurants,
Mm-hmm.
and we're probably gonna go to a few clubs and various museums. Not the Louvre, because we don't care about the Louvre. I don't remember now, but my boyfriend set everything up. It's his birthday gift, so
Oh, very nice.
yeah, I'm paying. He's planning.
You're 2,000 miles away. So there you go. You're going to go at
So
500
that's-
miles an hour.
3,600 kilometers.
I don't do kilometers anymore. America gave up on that, so I kind of gave up too. God, I wish they had. I wish we had made that transition because I am so fucking tired of doing conversions. And we're bred to think in terms of this ridiculous feet, miles and pounds and all this bullshit. And
Yeah.
it would have been, except for, when you get into drugs real heavily, you do get into grams and ounces pretty good. I mean, you get that right. But you know that there's 454 grams in a pound and shit like that, right? But yeah. The good
Also, when you do cooking, just
Yeah.
saying, it doesn't necessarily have to be drugs.
yeah. Well, oh yeah. Okay.
Cooking
This
a nice batch of cookies or whatnot.
This channel does not condone drugs.
Here's what I found.
Yes.
What did you find, Siri? Oh, Canada. Siri found Canada.
Oh, Canada.
So what the hell did my son ordered something the other day? He ordered, I think he ordered like something like eggs or hamburger, and Siri put down vodka. It had nothing to do with vodka. There wasn't any way that you could make the word vodka out of what he ordered.
Now, isn't your son a programmer?
Yeah.
Maybe he programmed it to write vodka whenever he said eggs or something.
Yeah,
You know, maybe
like
that's
an alias.
that's his code.
Yeah, it's a code. Got it.
Why would he code it for an alcoholic beverage though? That
Yeah,
seems
no.
weird.
My son has never actually ingested an alcoholic beverage.
Hey, it's Vessel.
Never.
That's a bit weird.
Neither of my twins decided they would never drink alcohol because of the live demo I gave them of alcoholism.
Yeah.
Teetotalers. Isn't that what
Yeah,
you call that?
they're teetotalers. They will not touch alcohol. And when I asked them if it was the education I gave them about drugs and alcohol, they said nope. It was the live demo I gave them.
Wow.
Actually, yeah, because they were like 16, 17, well, 13 the first time they saw a drunk that lasted a day. And then again, they saw one that lasted for 2 years when they were 16, 17. And then one that lasted for 5 years when they were in their 20s.
Wow.
And after seeing that, after seeing what it did to me and how much it changed me, they said they would never touch that shit. They'd never take the chance that they're alcoholics. Because there is a genetic element to it.
Yeah.
It has to do with how alcohol affects you. And like alcoholics are affected, it affects them more like an upper. Like you, if you take it speed, that's how alcohol affects alcoholics.
That's so weird because basically it's a downer. It's
It is.
anxiolytic and everything because it's a downer.
Yeah. Well, it's a downer in that it downs your cognitive functions and your common sense, but it doesn't down my metabolism. My metabolism goes crazy. I'm up on the table dancing. I mean, it's an absolute nutcase. Just give me a few drinks. So definitely a difference.
We need to do a demonstration sometime.
Yeah, when a waiter comes to me and I order a Virgin Mary, which is a Bloody Mary with absolutely no vodka, I always tell them, now be absolutely sure you know what a Virgin Mary was, because I run into a waitress that didn't know. And anyway, I said, be absolutely sure, or I will be dancing on the table, and you will be very sorry that you fed me alcohol. And they always look at me like with big eyes, and it's like, okay. And they make double sure that there's no vodka in my Bloody Mary.
Shirley Temple, that's a cocktail without alcohol, right?
I don't know. I don't know what a Shirley Temple is.
I think it is. An old joke says, what do you call a Shirley Temple without the cherry? A Madonna.
Okay.
Wow.
You know, I started out as a teetotaler because my dad was an alcoholic and he passed out around the house a lot, but he never really went out in public and drank.
Yeah.
But then after a while, I kind of gave that up and just really enjoyed drinking alcohol. But I didn't do it a lot. And then I had to go and get the diabetes. I tell you what. Now I'm a teetotaler again.
Because of my father, I swore that I would never drink like him. But then I drank, and I would never be my father. And I had trouble understanding that I was an alcoholic because my father was the alcoholic, right? So I was comparing myself. Well, one time I came home shit-faced, and I looked in the mirror, and I had the same droopy look that he did, because I could recognize that he was drunk from 40 feet. When he would get out of his truck and start walking into the house, I would know that he was plowed by the way his face drooped. And I looked in the mirror and I saw that same fucking shit on myself. And it was a moment, I can't describe how it made me feel. Basically, I saw my father in myself. And it was the side of him I'd never wanted to see. I don't know. I mean, he was a really great guy when he was sober. He was just a wonderful, soft, gentle, mild person, and very, very compassionate. when he drank, he turned into somebody else entirely, just totally different. And I do
Which
this.
is,
Yeah.
which is probably why you learned how to tell, because it's a survival thing.
It was survival. Yeah. Yeah. When you saw him get out of the truck drunk, you hit the upstairs, hide under the bed.
So you had a cats in the cradle moment.
Yep. Yeah, that was pretty amazing. But fucking alcohol.
When it comes to diabetes, my grandparents' best friend, he was an alcoholic and he was diabetic.
Yeah.
He lost 2 legs and 1 arm, and still kept his sense of humor and still kept drinking.
Wow.
Until he passed away. Never stopped.
Yep.
But he was a really funny person.
Well, your liver is really cool in that you can lose up to 52% of it, or a little over 50% of it, before you have any symptoms. And so people that go in and they've lost, 50% of their liver, the doctor will tell them, if you have another drink, you're going to die. And they'll go out and celebrate that at the local bar. I mean, I've seen it over and over again. And then you lose another 5% and you're dead. You start getting yellow and you just fall apart immediately. But it doesn't stop people at all. Because when you're an alcoholic, you have no control over the alcohol. That is the definition of an alcoholic. You can't rationally control the alcohol.
In his case, being a Holocaust survivor, I think it also had something to do with basically killing himself on purpose.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. Yep. The other misconception that kills me about alcoholism is looking back over all the times that I drank. For one thing, I've been sober and probably in AA for about 40 years out of my 71 years. So I've had a lot of sobriety in my life. I've had, these slips that happen occasionally. But looking back over it, I mean, there's this idea that alcoholics are these lustful people that just want to have fun. And that's why they drink. Most of the time, when you are an alcoholic or an addict and you're using, 80 or 90% of the time that you're using, you are fucking miserable. The only thing you're doing is you're taking another drink or another hit of drugs so that you can be different from what you are right now. So you're always chasing this carrot. And this there's this constant feeling of unease the whole time you're using. Okay. And it never gets to the point where you're like, we can all remember the first few times we used a drug or alcohol, and it was basically the last best time that we will ever have, because you never have that fun again. It's mostly just sickness, And when I think back 15 years to when I last used, the thing I remember most stunningly is how fucking sick I was. I was just like constantly just feeling worse than the flu. Just constantly out of energy or, just totally messed up. So that isn't the reason alcoholics drink, is to have fun. Okay, that might be the reason that they think they're going to drink. But when they actually start drinking, that isn't how it turns out. You have an allergy to alcohol, you break out in handcuffs. Which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's... Well, why drink and drive when you can smoke and fly?
Well, there's 2 ways you can wake up in the handcuffs, I've heard. One is under police supervision, and the other one is under authoritarian supervision. He gets the dominatrix joke.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, for good reasons, which I will not point out now. Anyway.
I thought you were going to say with a hooker, but...
Yeah, I guess there is that variety available too.
There's that variety.
Still authoritarian once the cuffs are on.
I was lucky in the sense that I have really good memory.
And the first time I got really drunk was when I basically finished a whole bottle of vodka by myself. And then I couldn't remember most of what happened. I blacked out for most of the evening. And that scared the living daylights out of me, not remembering. And that kind of make me not drink. So
There's go ahead. There's the AA big book, or the AA thing that talks about AA or whatever. And in there's a line: we are unable at certain times to bring into our consciousness with sufficient force the memory of the suffering and humiliation of even a week or a month ago.
Yeah.
That's what
about your suffering or somebody else's suffering that you've caused.
Our suffering or humiliation. So we are unable at certain times to bring into our consciousness with sufficient force the memory of the suffering and humiliation of even a week or a month ago. And that's what it's like to be an alcoholic. When you're right there on the verge of taking another drink and to get drunk, you cannot remember what you should remember very, very strongly, and that is the amount of suffering and chaos that happened in your life 24 hours ago or 36 hours ago. And there's something about the drug commandeering your entire dopamine system to where you cannot remember common sense things, and you constantly think, oh, I can just stop at one. I'll just have one drink, and it's like, well, that was he didn't fill that glass up all the way. So maybe I'll have, actually I should have another one to compensate. And then you're blacked out, drunk. And
I didn't know this was the case about alcoholism having such an effect on people's memory like that. I really didn't know. I know that there's people who will smoke marijuana and then complain about their short-term memory loss the next day and stuff like that. But I didn't realize alcohol had effects on people's memories. It's very interesting.
No, it's not quite like that. It's like the facts, okay? You have the common sense facts, but you rationalize your way out of it. Like when I would be on my way to the liquor store, the whole time there'd be this voice screaming in my head, "Don't do it! Don't do it! You're going to lose your job. You're not going to make it to that meeting if you get drunk." And there's this other part of you that's saying, "I can't hear you. I can't hear you." And so it's almost like you split into two people, and you get to this panicked feeling where you have to shut that voice off. And you make a promise to yourself that as soon as I get a beer into me, then I'll listen to that voice, the voice of reason.
But that's the trap, isn't it?
But that's the trap. Then it's too fucking late, and you're gone. And it's insidious. And I'm really good at recording subjective memories of things, and basically, and the feelings that go along with it. And I remember many, many drunks like that, where I would be on the way to get a drug, and there was this voice just screaming at me not to do it. And I would be able to shut it off through some either rational means, or I would just turn the music up. And it's like, okay, I just got to get the drug and then I'll talk to you. It's like, you're not going to talk to your rational mind until you get the drug in you. And then it's too fucking late. It's insidious.
Wow. It's almost like it was designed to do that.
Well, it is. It's basically your dopamine reward system, okay, is really reptilian and low level, and the drug takes that over, so that the only way that you can get that dopamine fix that says you've accomplished something or you're doing something is to get that drug in your system, right? And so you have that entire program in your brain that sends you in that direction every single time, and it's more powerful than love or caring about your children or anything in the world, because it's very, very basal. Hang on a second.
Also, if anyone wants to know what actual effects alcohol can neurologically have on your memory, look up Korsakoff syndrome and confabulations. That's when your hippocampus goes to shit and you can't form memories or
Yeah, they call
what do
it,
you call recall things.
they call it
And
wet
you
brain.
start.
They call it wet
Yeah.
brain, basically. That's when you've gone too far. And that's why I was really pissed off when Saul Cordova made the comment that I burned my brains out on drugs and alcohol, because there are people that really fucking do that. And these
Sal
are,
said that.
yeah. He said
So
I'm
it's a
on
malicious personal attack.
malicious.
and
attack.
It's ad hominem though, and not all attacks are fallacious is the problem. And it's a really low move on his part, because I guess when I hear people making those kinds of attacks, I feel like, okay, they've lost confidence in their own position, and that's why they're resorting to this. Yeah. But it's such a horrible thing.
Sal's usually considered a nice guy, so
Yeah, I'm very disappointed to hear that this came from. Did he ever apologize for that?
No, he never.
Okay. Yeah, so that I think by that you can judge his character as being somebody who's not really very nice.
Yeah, it's a low blow to somebody who's struggled with that shit and recovered from it, and somebody who, I know people who suffer from wet brain, basically.
Oh yeah, that makes it worse. Even if it's against somebody who hasn't done that, it's still a horrible thing to say. But it makes it doubly so in your case, because you talk about alcoholism and the effects it's had and all this kind of stuff, and this is serious stuff. It's not something to make jokes of or to use as leverage, ad hominem style leverage anywhere.
As a creationist argument is what he's using it for. It's
Sorry? What argument?
like he's using it for a creationist argument, basically an argument for his position, and that's just fucking, that is insanely callous, and just horrible.
And also completely pointless, since it will never prove anything. It's just an ad hominem.
And his goal was to hurt me, and he did.
So I think that if you ever talk with him again, make that the first and foremost issue, and ask him if he meant it or he's willing to apologize, and keep pushing that on him, because that's on him. Then push it onto him every time until he apologizes.
Yep.
Yeah, and just be polite about it, but be steady and clear, and it'll be hard for him to tell if you're mad or not, and that'll scare him. Yeah, just be calm about it and clear, and then if he refuses, then just kick him off the stream each time.
Guys,
He'll never talk to me. He won't even allow people to talk to him about me.
So he's really scared. Okay.
Yeah, he's afraid. He can't handle my shit. So
it's 1:36 a.m. So while it's fun, I do actually have to get up in the morning, which is unfortunate.
Yep.
Hey, thanks for joining us. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah. Oh, you guys haven't met before? Wow.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think we have.
Manny used to come on many times. Many.
Yes, he did.
Always enjoyed it when Minnie got worked up.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you bring Ono Tangelo, and yeah, that's definitely gonna happen. He makes me mad like no one else. God.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Talk about your international incidents.
Otangelo is kind of like listening to paint dry. You know how boring watching paint dry is? Well, listening to paint dry is even more boring than that. Yeah. Once you hear his entire spiel, it's just on a loop.
I remember a few weeks ago, Pine Creek, if you know who that is.
Yeah.
Had him on for a few minutes, and he said, like,
Really?
Don't be ashamed of your voice. It's designed. It's designed badly. It's a poor design, but it's designed. And then Tangelo starts going, oh, yes, that's true, yes. It's just like,
Oh no.
Well, guys, have fun. Randolph, it's been cool seeing you, and I'll try and drop by again this week because I'm working noon shift, so I'm available at nights.
Oh, very
Yep.
cool. We'd love
Yeah,
that.
we're doing this.
Yeah, and
every
it's
other
the
day.
first time I can see Scott, so yeah.
Yeah, it's the first time I've developed the attitude to show my face.
Yep,
Well, it works.
it does.
It
Thank
works.
you. And when you go to Paris, you really should do some on the spot reporting
Yeah.
From Paris.
from Paris. Yeah.
I actually, Israeli tourists claim that since the coronavirus, the French are actually nice to tourists for the first time
Really?
ever. Yeah.
Wow.
So, who knows? Maybe they'll actually be nice. The rumors say that they're like the most disgusting people on earth.
Oh, wow.
Nothing personal. If there are any French people in chat, this is what people say. I've never been. I've never met a Frenchies. So yeah, I'm just repeating rumors.
You know, I've only met a few actual French people in my day. They'd never came to Arkansas or Texas that much.
Every comedian I've heard talk about the French, that's what they mean. The French. It's just like there's something bad. You hear about the cheese?
Nobody was
Oh my God. Okay.
That's a dad joke if I've ever seen one.
That's a pun.
Okay, so au revoir
Yep.
Au
We're gonna.
revoir.
and bonsoir, I think, right? Good evening.
Okay. Thanks. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
We're gonna shoot this thing in the head, guys.
Minnie was just laughing at this pun. I'll read it out for people who can't read it. It's, did you hear about the cheese factory that exploded in France? Debris was everywhere.
Uh,
My son would like that one. He's the king of the bad pun.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Some people tell me they're all bad.
Yeah, most of them. Anyway, I think we'll shoot her in the head.
Okay.
We lost the Andrew. Andrew, you're out there in chat, so let's go watch that ERV thing and see what you make of it.
yeah, we had some really good interactions in the chat, so that was good, and some good interactions here. It was nice to have Minnie stop by, and Jay, if you're out there somewhere, sorry we didn't mean to run you off.
Yeah, and I just remembered to like my own video, so everybody else should do that too.
That's right. Like the video.
I appreciate you tuning into my live stream yesterday as well. I'm delighted whenever people do, and
It was just delightful.
see everybody there, you know.
Yeah, and I really like that Gail Warren guy's approach and his clarity. You know, he was really good. So.
Oh, he's a smart guy. They're all smart people on the panel. I feel like I'm the one who's walking on shoulders of giants there. It's just, it's great. I feel like Taco's brought together a really great team of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Shooting her in the head.
Take care.
Goodbye.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Yep.
I still haven't got this wave thing down.
Get the wave.
It's all blurry.
Bye.